Good evening, everyone, and let's welcome Nayan to this very special interaction session. So Nayan is currently pursuing his undergraduate degree at the at IACS Kolkata, which is a pretty good institute. I would say it's if I say it's the best, some people will disagree. I would say it's one of the best in the world. So we'll learn more about ISCS from him, and we'll learn how someone can get into the institute. And before we start, I would like to say something a bit about the MitSna. So MitSna is a not-for-profit, youth-driven group based in Manipur, working towards promoting wholesome education. If you want to know more about MitSna, you can follow us on Instagram. We have an Instagram page, and we have a website also, which is currently on development. And yeah, without further ado, let's start the session. And thank you everyone for being here. So, Nan, can you give a brief introduction about yourself, apart from the one that I have said on the poster?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I'm a pretty average guy. So don't think that I'm studying in IISc or something like that. So I'm just a regular guy. I'm interested in science, more in chemistry. But I would like to start by emphasizing this very point that the higher you go in research, you will try to get the flavor that science is all intermingled. So there is no chemistry, there is no physics, but it's all unified into one chunk of science. So you need to do everything together. So I think that's one point why I chose ICS and more about myself. So right now, as you said, so I'm currently in the sixth semester and I'm majoring in chemistry with a minor in biology. And I'm pretty much looking forward to doing graduate studies in the States. And this summer, I will be spending my research program in Minnesota, which is in the northern part of the US. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Well, like you have a hobby, right?
Hobby. Yeah, so I actually like reading books, but mostly science fiction or scientific literature. Uh, Before COVID, I must say, I used to do swimming, but after the COVID, like that has vanished during the COVID, so I haven't been able to go to the pools as of yet. And I'd like to do cycling along the countryside. Pretty good roads in Kolkata you can visit by cycling. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm a pretty boring guy, I must say.
No, not really. So you told that you joined the ISCS because of the flexible, like, so that you can have the exposure of the whole branch of science. So like, can
Yeah.
you tell about the BSMS program there?
Sure. So let me start by the admission procedure. So just like the ISERS, we have an entrance test. It's called the UPST Undergraduate Program Selection Test. So just like the ISERS, everything is same. You have three modes of entry. Either you go through the exam route, or you go through the KVPY route, or you go through the joint/NEET route. So, but the thing that differs from ISER is that the number of seats is pretty less. So in ISERS, it's roughly around 200 or greater than that, I guess. But for our course, we have just maximum of 40 to 50 seats. So in our batch, we are 30 people. And so as you can understand, it's like not really feasible to select 30 people out of a pool of, let's say, 10,000 applying through just a selection test. So after the selection test, we have a screening interview, which is pretty bizarre, I must admit. There they throw all sorts of questions at you, non-standard questions, and you are expected to devise some sort of theory, logic, algorithm. Even if you don't get the correct answer, you see the approach that you get towards it. So that was the rough arena of getting into ICS. I must admit it was very nightmarish, the exams and all. ISERs were like CBT, okay, fine, I'll go and give the test and then I'll just forget about it. But then IICS was a different ball game altogether. You have to give in the interview. For example, I didn't have computer in my 10+2, but I was asked questions from computer as well. So as a scientist, they just from the day one, they try to impinge in you the sort of thinking, even if you don't know a subject, how you can build it from ground zero. And I'm sure they do it in ISER as well. The moment you get inside, everyone tries to be on the same footing with all subjects and things. And the course structure is something similar to ISER, but again, a little bit different. We don't have earth science here. So the first 3 semesters, we have all courses. So physics, chemistry, maths, bio, and computer. And unlike IISER, we don't get to choose a minor up till the 4th semester. I think in IISER, it's you get to choose a major and a minor, but we don't get to choose anything, and we have to study all this PCMB plus computer till the 3rd semester, inclusive of 3rd semester. 4th semester onward, what we get to choose a major and one minor. Minor is optional. You might opt not to choose a minor at all and you go hardcore into your major. But I personally think it's always better to go with a minor as well. Rather than adding to your CV, it also adds to your skills and course content. And yeah, and after that, pretty much it goes routine. From 5th semester, you are merged with the integrated MS batch. And from the 8th semester onward, you do coursework with your PhD guys. And the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, these 4 semester or the last 2 years are dedicated to pure research. You have one coursework and the rest of the time is for research. And by research, I mean it's not just some project. You get to develop your thinking skills and project skills right from the 1st semester onward, and then you get to build up, roll the stone down, 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 so that you get an idea what sort of research you want to conduct by the 6th or 7th semester, and then you hop into it. And having said that, I must say that one advantage of IICS is that you can hop into the labs at any point of time. Yeah, you have to contact your professor first, but you can hop into your lab right from the 1st semester. And doing research is not that very theoretically impinging on you, because you always start from ground zero, whether you get into a lab at 8th semester or you get into a lab at the very beginning, the 1st or the 2nd semester. Maybe you don't know much, the difference is huge, but at the same time, the theoretical studies and the doing things in lab are a whole different ball game. So you need to start learning the techniques of the lab, which is not difficult yet again, but is time consuming. So the earlier you start, the better. And we have this facility that all of us have the freedom to join any lab at any point of time right from the 1st semester. That gives a really cutting edge to it, because the moment we get into 4th or 5th semester, we are integrated with the master student. We try to understand, maybe we are on the same footing when it comes to the theoretical background or the theoretical knowledge, but when it comes to the experimental skills, I really feel that we are much more advanced than them, because we have been doing it for so long, right from the 1st semester onwards. Right. So that I think is a very plus point of ICS compared to the normal honors or other courses right here. Yeah. And we graduate with the integrated BSMS degree. It's pretty common, like same as ISAs, I think.
And I don't think anyone else outside IISER will know about IISER.
Uh-huh.
So you told me that you have chosen a minor. So is it like will you be getting a degree in the minor also?
Uh-huh. Yeah. So there's a course requirement definitely that apart from the basic courses of the 3 semesters, you need to do additional courses. I think it's 26 credits, roughly around 4 more courses in your minor throughout your stay. So 3 + 4, total 7 courses for your minor. Yeah, and we get attested that in the degree.
Like from the entrance procedure, I think it's very challenging, because selecting only around 30-40 students from the whole country, that has to be a challenge. And here you are. It's something to be proud of, right?
Well, I consider myself lucky rather than proud. I just got it.
But you are the first batch, right?
No, we are actually the second batch.
So yes, you people are still the experimental group.
Yeah, first batch is always experiment. But as you mentioned, like the course structure is very flexible. It's changing every year. So what we have done, the juniors are not doing the same thing.
Same thing happens in IISER. Like when someone asks me about how are things in IISER, I'm like, I don't know. I graduated a long time back. That's the best thing about autonomous institutes. Like it evolves. Like it doesn't happen in universities.
Yeah. And I think that's good. Like changing with
Yeah,
time
it's
and
good.
changing with dynamic, it's good. Yeah.
Like I mean, it's not just the syllabus they change. Like they include a whole new subject also. Like we told the administrators that why are we not studying any art subject? Then the next semester they included philosophy classes, economics classes, psychology classes. I mean, like that won't happen in any university, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So coming back, like like what kind of internships have you joined so far? I mean, like apart from the one that you're gonna join, like have you done any internships ahead of it?
Yeah, a great point. So, yeah, well, I was planning to do offline internships, obviously better than online, but what we could do, COVID-19 lockdown. So, I did pretty many online internships, and I purposely didn't do any online internship in India because I feel it's pretty useless in India, to be very honest. To be doing online internships in India, it doesn't lead to any conclusion. They will be in the form of reading projects, and you don't get attested or you don't get any certificate. Like, you get certificate, but who cares about the certificates unless you have a publication? So I think that's one point that the US and Europe have a plus point over India in doing online internships because they allow us to publish review papers. Definitely much more intaking hard work than a normal internship doing in India, for example, and it extends very much as well. So I did three internships. One was in Canada with University of Alberta. I did that in organic chemistry, and it was more like finding out what kind of synthetic strategies might work out for organic molecules and stuff like that. And well, that didn't end up in a pretty success, but yeah, was a very learning experience. So I didn't get any publication from that one because we couldn't succeed in finding, let's say, a possible route to do the reaction. But yeah, we found out many routes that won't work through the tracer search. But then two more internships that I did subsequently, 2020 and 2021. One was in the University of Arkansas, the southern part of the US, and another in the neighboring state. It's called New Mexico, again in the southern part. So University of New Mexico, I joined a bio-oncology lab, which is very fundamentally different from the biochemistry that we have in India. So, and that relies heavily on computation and biophysical techniques, which can be done online, right? So I got engaged in that and I tried to find out what sort of roles glucose has in controlling the biophysics of cells, which is not something very commonly undertaken. And it's very pretty underdeveloped arena. So I got to publish a review in that. That's out for publication right now. Will be published soon, I guess. And another review was on amyloid biochemistry. So a few of you might be knowing like the Alzheimer's disease that affects the older people. It's cognition impairment and loss of memory and stuff like that. So that is caused due to a type of peptide called the A beta peptide. So my internship was basically focused on that. A beta peptide is known for around 185 years now, but the literature on that is so huge that if one starts to read, one can't finish it. So my task was to compile a precise, concise, as well as theoretically sound review paper, which would entail all these components of this amyloid into one single document, 50 pages or 60 pages, so that a starting scientist, if he might look at my paper, then he can understand what is this field about. So that's out for publication as well. So we all worked on co-author basis with the University of New Mexico. I worked with a Chinese guy and another South Korean guy, along with the professor. And for the University of Arkansas one, we worked with a guy from Iran and another girl from IISC Kolkata, actually.
Oh, cool. It's great to hear my college name. So like you have done a lot of online internships. I mean, like what everyone would be interested in, and what I'm interested in. It's like, how did you apply for them, and like how did you know about them?
Yeah, great question, actually. So you would see like there are so many programs hosted by major schools for online internships. My advice would be not to go for them because they might not end up in a very intellectually surpassing experience. That might be a group experience. Well, yeah, I can see something is happening, some Zoom meetings and calls, and that's it. What my strategy was, I would read up publications of my own choice and then contact the stalwarts in that area. For example, you can write emails to the professors asking for some sort of guidance and then just roll the ball into, and if you straight away ask for internships, it's going to be a cold no. Let me tell you that. Most of the times it is going to be a cold no, or you are not going to get reply, which happens, I would say, greater than 80% of the time. And the 20% of the time you get reply back from the professors, either it is a negation or it's saying that, well, okay, you read up some literature, you are too young, or maybe, oh, sorry, I don't have time to take up on another project or thing like that. The rest 5% or less than 5% of the time, you get lucky. So you can understand, you need to increase the sample size of mailing professors, almost 5-6 mails every day around that or thing. And you need to keep on mailing people until you get some opportunity to do some online internship. But yeah, as I said, my advice would be not to go for a program based internship, like they give advertisement, yeah, open call for internship, summer internship, things like that don't really work out well. It might not be that enriching an experience for you guys, but actually trying to write a review paper, I think, is the best thing that one can do in an online mode, apart from bioinformatics, obviously. Yeah, bioinformatics is a good thing you can do in online, those programs. Yeah.
I still remember my undergrad days where like we like typed the email the whole day, and like by the nighttime, like we will time it, and so that the email goes early in the morning, because we can't get it early in the morning, but professors usually
Yeah.
read emails in the morning, so it's
Yeah.
like we have a higher chance of getting reply if it's sent in the morning. So we'll send in the
Yeah.
morning, and like sometimes, most of the times, we don't get replies. Just that's the way you said.
Yeah, that's true. That's a harsh
So
reality.
yeah, that's a harsh reality. So I believe since you were doing those internships online, you were not paid, right?
No, I was not
Yeah.
paid, but actually I had my Inspired
Yeah.
fellowship. So for these 2 years, due to the lockdown, they agreed to pay me on online internships as well.
Wow. So you get the 20,000.
Yeah, I was at
Yeah, that's
20,000
cool.
once. The second year is still pending.
They're pretty slow in processing those things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And so you're planning to go to the US University of Minnesota. It's the Lando, right? Lando program.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So I know you are selected for that, but I know that you're also selected in other ones. So can you highlight them?
Yeah, actually, this year, I think I'm the first Indian guy to get into Lando. So Lando has been running for around 7 years or so.
It's highly
So in the
competitive. It's
chemistry
highly
arena,
competitive.
yeah, that's true.
Because
So
I'll be
this,
honest, in our
uh,
batch, all of us applied. No one got selected.
yeah,
It's
I
highly
think,
competitive.
yeah, I think again I got lucky this time as well. So my statement of proposal was in line with the project that one professor was going to start. So I think I got lucky there. The statement of purpose and his requirements. So probably that's the thing. Yeah.
So, like, how is the program like the Lando program?
So you see, the Lando actually is mainly for international applicants. So the University of Minnesota, they select 7 applicants internationally. So this year I'm me. There are 2 from Denmark. There's 1 from Albania. There's a guy from Africa. I think there's 2 South Koreans. Yeah, that's it this year. And the rest of them are domestic nationals. So it's very easy, relatively very easy for the US nationals to get in, because they have this called the thing called the NSF RU, which is very nice. I hope that we have something like in India soon as well. So that they fund undergraduates to do summer research in any university. They have summer intakes, which is pretty nice compared to the Indian kind of a counterparts there. We also do have summer programs, but you see that they are okay, fine, not that level,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you apply for any other program?
Yeah, so I also applied to this AMGANS program, which is mainly in biochemistry. So this is called the AMGAN Scholars Program. So again, they have 4 institutes under them. That's the University of Tokyo, Kyoto University, Tsinghua University, China, and then there's the National University of Singapore. So many of you might be knowing actually. So NUS is pretty highly ranked. So my preference was to get into NUS. It's ranked 11th in the world, QS World Rankings. So I'd applied for that and I got selected in that as well. But I didn't go
Congrats.
there. I'm not planning to go there because the US thing is more elusive to me. And I can resonate more with the US programs, I think, on a general note.
They also
But
pay
NUS
more,
is
right?
great. Yeah, they also pay more. Yeah. That's a good point as well.
Yeah, and it's good to be in the US. I
It's
mean,
good.
I have been in Singapore and I have been in the US, so like I know the experience. I mean, NUS, NTU is very good, but I think the approach of research is somewhat different. Yeah, I think it's different. US is US is US.
Yeah, yeah, I believe so
Yeah,
as well. The exposure is a whole lot different. Yeah.
yeah. So you have been telling us that you were lucky this time also, but you are lucky in two competitive programs. So like, what do you think why do you think you were lucky? Like what made you lucky? I mean, I always know that.
Uh, okay, well, so this luck actually came from a bit of hard work as well, I must say. So the main thing I believe that in all these undergraduate programs matters is your CV and your statement of purpose. Yes, definitely letters of recommendation as well. But a statement of purpose reads out to who you are and reads out the entire story of your being, why you should be going there. And try to understand when we are applying for some international program, why would a third party fund us for going there, bear all our expenses for us to conduct research? So there must be something very entangling for them, beneficial for them as well, so that it be as a win-win approach for both of us. So I think for writing a statement of purpose is an art, and that comes only through practice. And you need to review which professors are doing what work and write your statement of purpose in that time. You might not be interested really in the work of that professor, but believe me, you need to write your statement of purpose as if you are fully interested in his work. So that's how it works, I think. So I think I got lucky as well because I got to interact with those professors offline mode. They had been to IICS as well. So I got to interact with them. One of them, the one at Minnesota. So I had known him personally. But then again, he didn't have any role to play in the selection. But yeah, it was good to know the what projects he's working on, so I could shape my SOP accordingly. Yeah, that's pretty it.
Yes. So like what do you think are the important aspects that should be considered while writing the SOP? Like could you be more detailed?
Uh-huh. So I always believe in a para-wise breakdown of the SOP. I don't believe in the traditional three para SOP with the introduction, your body, and conclusion. I don't believe that works at all. So what I believe is the first line should start by highlighting why you are doing science. So it's not just a random guy, okay, I want this degree, I want to go to US, so I am doing this, I want to do this. No one will fund you, come on. There should be some spark in that. For example, you have some childhood experience that enlightened you to do science, to work in a particular area, and then you build up your entire story from how you came, how things were in school, to how things were in your college or university, to how you got really excited at this professor's work, and what are your ideas. I believe that a statement of proposal should always end with a short research proposal because that gives a direction to your SOP as to in which direction you want your research to work in. That might not be always scientifically possible or scientifically feasible, but yeah, that should be scientifically accurate because the one reading your SOP is most often a scientifically enlightened guy, professors or the chairs who are in the selection committee, and they know science. They know science pretty much well than any of us. They are the masters in their field and they have the entire authority. And when you speak out your story through your SOP, it actually leaves an impression. So try to understand there are maybe thousands of applicants for the program, and one is reading through SOPs. Well, routine SOP, introduction, body, conclusion, introduction, body, conclusion. Nothing leaves a mark. But at the end of your day, if you give some inspiring story to someone, that's going to stay back in his or her mind, and that's the difference I think that creates the success and unsuccessful people in the aspirants.
That's the difference between lucky and unlucky people, I guess.
Lucky and unlucky.
Yeah.
uh,
In the meantime, if anyone has any questions, I mean, you can raise your hand or you can drop in the chat. I mean, because I'm no longer applying for internships. I have less questions about internships, to be honest. I was there in like back then, but no longer. I'm no longer in that position. Okay, coming back. So you were talking about the CV. So like, I mean, everyone has a CV. So there must be something different, right? Like
yeah.
since you are selected, so like what do you think are the different aspects in your CV?
Yeah, that's a great point, I guess. So, yeah, then again, this I learned in the very crude or the hard way. When I first made my CV, I thought my CV should contain my GPA, my interests, a little bit of my background work, and publications, if any. I didn't have anything. Most of us start from scratch when, yeah, obviously, most of us don't have it right now. So how do we actually encounter that into a CV? So first thing is CV should be a plain format document. It should not be something very glossy, very out of the box thing. It should be plain, readable, but at the same time concise and script. 1 or 2 pages maybe. So if you don't have relevant experience, I think a CV doesn't count. But then you should first when you're writing a CV, if you find that, oh, well, I'm not having this experience, the first point that comes in my mind, I should do something to get that experience. So I should go back and get that experience, garner that experience over the time, and then again revisit my CV and start again writing. So the basic format that I believe follows and I believe works for me at least is I start by writing my name, my personal details, and stuff like that on the top left corner. And then I start by writing my education, qualifications. It's very nice when you're applying for international arena, in the international arena. I believe it's always better you give a better insight because people might not know what CBSE, what ICSE is. So you should write national level high school competitions or national level board examinations or things like that. And then you can write the abbreviated form. It might take up a little bit of more space, but at the same time, it's very much more appealing to a person who doesn't know the Indian system, right? So that's one point. And the second point, I believe, if you don't have relevant experience, what you will always be having is your coursework experience. So I believe it's always a better idea to be including what relevant coursework you have taken in the field while you're applying for that particular position. For example, you are applying for a chemistry summer undergraduate research program, let's say in the field of organic chemistry. So it's always better to mention what organic courses have you taken and what courses you might be in the in transit. So always include all the courses, whether you are already currently taking them, include them as well, and you can write currently pursuing or ongoing or in transit, and those which you have completed. And to the last part of the CV, if you don't have relevant experience, I believe it is always better to include your research interest. What sort of thing interests you? It's more of an SOP business, but again, we need to start from scratch. So there should be something inspiring in your CV as well, if you don't have relevant experience. It's not an alternative for relevant experience, definitely. But then again, it's a make through thing. And if you have relevant experience, I believe it's always better to list all of them. Whether or not you think it's important or unimportant, you list all of them. For example, you worked for maybe a week or two on an investigatory project. Let's say you were in high school and you thought that, okay, there are soaps and I want to estimate the content of soda in soap, let's say, like how harsh the soap is. So that's a very pretty home project. But then again, it's a scientific cause, right? Because you can then understand whether that soap is conforming to the Indian standards or not, whether what is the limit of soda and all things like that. So those are the things actually I believe that the US is looking forward to rather than India. If you give that in India, I think no one will care because what have you done in your home? No one cares actually. They more care about more of your academic pursuit. But in the US, it's a whole different ball game, I believe. So even though they count short investigatory projects which kindle the spark that you have in you and you are trying to bring it to the light. And definitely when you have relevant experience, then your CV speaks it all for you if you just put it out in a tabular form. And publications are again very important. If you have them do, or you are in the process of publishing, like you have submitted it to a journal, even then you mention it in your CV that, yeah, this is submitted, because I right now have 3 of these papers submitted. They are in the process. So publishing is a long process, 6-7 months. Like they will send you, they will grill you with your reviewer comments and things like that. So it will take time. So just include that it's to be published or it's given out for publication. Yeah. I think that was pretty much a strategy for me. Again, I learned it the very hard way. Many rejections of CV. People thought my
Oh,
CV was trash.
like, yeah, I think most of the people learn it the hard way. I mean, when I look
Yeah,
at my first semester CV, I'm like, man, what was I thinking back then?
exactly.
I'm like,
Same.
yeah, it's weird. Like, I think, like, as you pointed out, the selection procedure in India and other countries are different. I think, like, India focuses a lot on the academic achievement.
Uh-huh.
Like the Indian Academy of Science, if you apply, they will start asking
Uh-huh.
how much you score in
Yeah.
class 10.
Yeah,
Eh,
true.
what does it matter? But
Exactly.
like,
Exactly. I don't understand that.
yeah, but
And
that's the way how things work in India. But
yeah,
if,
so
yeah,
yeah, that's
And if someone applies for international, they are like, start writing your academic achievement starting from college level. Don't need to the lower level.
Yeah. Yeah. And even in international applicants, you see this GPA, it has a role to play, I agree. But then again, it's not the only deciding factor. But back in India, you can absolutely totally understand it's all the percentage that you get.
Yeah.
Plus two.
So you're also working on a research project in your university, and also
Yeah.
are you collaborating with the New Mexico University, or are there two different projects?
No, they are actually totally different ones and totally
How do
different
you,
fields as well.
how do you manage time?
Yeah, that's pretty tedious, I must admit. Sometimes I feel like I should leave everything and just stop doing all of this, but then again, the more hard work we put in, the results are there. So in my university, I work totally different field. It's called organic chemistry, totally different from what I do at New Mexico. It's more like biology, more like cancer biology. And then in Arkansas, it's again totally different. It's more like biochemistry, so amyloid. So three of them running. So in certain weeks, I get three group meetings all in the same week. So my head is all burnt up. So this meeting's information going into that meeting and stuff like that. But again, yeah, if you have to manage with the coursework, that becomes pretty tedious, I must admit. Yeah.
And IICS does have a very like
Uh-huh.
strict academic structure, but I mean, like the coursework must not be easy.
Yeah, that's true. They put all, we have classes right from the 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. So entire lot of courses. I think ISER also had the similar
Yeah, we
stuff.
did the same thing. Yeah, like
Yeah.
by Friday night we are pretty exhausted.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
Then Sunday night we don't want to wake up.
yeah, man. Yeah. So, does anyone have any question? Does anyone want to raise hand? Okay, Archana, Sudhir.
Okay, so hi, nice to meet you. I'm a geology undergrad at University of Delhi, and it was nice hearing from you, and it was like enlightening for me. So I do have a general question, like for people who get into ISAR or any other national research institutes, it's easy for them to sort out their research topics because they have the BS/MS program. And unfortunately, for people like me who get into normal universities like DU, like it's hard for us to um, think about a research project because our UG program is for 3 years only, and I'm already in second year, and like I feel there's not enough time, and sometimes feel demotivated. So, any comment on this?
Yeah, so I believe many of my friends asked that as well. So this is an issue. I truly understand this is an issue. But one thing you can do is you can make the habit of reading research papers. You might not be able to get the experience, the experimental experience, lab experience, but you can develop a intellectual pursuit towards research by reading the research papers. And there's a very interesting website called SciHub that you can read any paper virtually for free. So I'll just type that in. That might help all of you guys to access any research paper. It's called SciHub. You can see there. So the SciHub, actually, you might be knowing that all these journals, most of them are blocked by paywalls. So you need to pay them some money to read the journals. But the SciHub is an initiative that you can crack any journal, virtually any journal, uh, and read it online for free. And you can download the PDF as well. So I believe, since you say that you are a zoology major, the zoology field is very dynamic nowadays. It's all integrated with the molecular biology and it's very interdisciplinary in nature, I believe. So I think you can start reading papers and garner the type of research that is actually taking place. You might not have the relevant experience in it, but that's fine. You know the theory behind it, because normal zoology theoretical background, that too with a traditional conventional syllabus DU has, I think it might be difficult when you are applying for any programs, right? So I think maybe reading up the research papers is a great idea to give a headshot. And then you can start by, it's due, right? So there must be some labs, research labs. So you can just go in over there. And even if you're not accepted as an undergraduate student, you can just watch the people at work. You can be inquisitive about their work and learn about their work from there. And I think that's pretty good start. And it's
Yeah.
not late. You are in the second year, right? It's not late. You have enough time, I believe.
And also, like, we are the unfortunate place. Like, our first year has been taken off by COVID only, and it's like in online mode only. That's the thing. We
Yeah,
have
that's
like
true.
zero lab skills. Like, it's zero only. That's the
Yeah, don't worry. Actually, there's a large pool of people, like who have the same problem as you. So you're not really at a very marked disadvantage, actually. You don't just get demotivated. You just try to be at par with the international level because, the India, I truly believe that we have suffered more than any of the other nation because our schools and colleges were locked down for pretty long compared to the US or maybe even Europe, and our online teaching was also not that up to the mark, I believe. So I truly believe that we Indian students might be at disadvantage, but then again we have a silver lining. Our theoretical knowledge, I speak from my experience because I've worked with Chinese counterparts and South Koreans and US counterparts as well. Our theoretical knowledge is much more. Believe me when I say our theoretical knowledge is much more compared to the other American or the European countries. The Chinese and the South Koreans are pretty good at it though. But what we lack are in experimental skills. So I think like to make it even, if our theoretical skills are here, our experimental skills are here, a little bit push of experimental skills can make us far above them because our theoretical knowledge is much more. So I think visiting a lab and getting to know it is the better way to get into it right from now. Yeah,
thank you.
for sure.
And I think one of the major problem that the students from universities, normal universities have is they don't have a long time for the internship. Like for our institutes, we have 2 months, more than 2 months break for
Yeah.
the summer. Like do internship, but for universities, I think they have less than 2 months.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That's something they need to figure it out. Like they have to convince
Yeah,
the
you see, like no
department.
one is going to work on that. I feel really disappointed by that. No one's working on that.
It's
Uh,
around 40 days only, maximum
Oh,
40 days.
gosh.
so like I think Nayan must know. You know what the MITEX, right? The program in Canada.
Yeah,
Yeah.
MidX, yeah.
So the MITEX program is longer than usual internship. So it's more than 2 months. So some of my friends got it, and when they got it, they sent an email to the dean and all, and try to convince the institute that they needed more time. And they came back to the university like 15 days later, and it was
Oh,
acceptable. Like they could manage things with the
yeah.
whatever they lost within the 15 days. I think normal university students can do that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same with my batch as well. Like the MITEX program, that's far exceeding our semester. Like it's into our semester. We are, the people who are selected into MITEX will be missing some classes, but I think that's fine. We have they can attend on now. It's even better because they can attend online those
Yeah.
lectures and stuff. Yeah, I think that
So
flexibility
yeah,
is really needed. Otherwise, it's very difficult for us to excel.
yeah. I mean, like in the end, to be lucky, you have to work hard. You have to do all extra
Yeah,
things.
that's true.
Yeah. So
For
I
me
mean,
as well, yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Please go on.
Ah, so for me as well, like my full-time lab, I have classes from 8 to 6, and then I go into lab from 7 and work till 11 in the night, and then again wake up at around 5, 6. So it's pretty denigrating, tiring work. But then again, everything comes at a cost. There is no free lunch, so the harder we work now, the better our results will be.
And the luckier we get. Yeah.
Luck,
And
yeah, luck.
because for you, everything revolves around luck, right? And one of the things that you mentioned about like CV and SOP, so it might be a tough question, but I just want to put it. So like, what do you think is the main difference between a CV and an SOP? Like, what should be in the CV and what should be in the SOP?
Uh-huh. So I believe that SOP is more like unfolding a personal story. It's more like a personal statement, and then that is mixed with what you want to do. A CV is more of like what you already have. So SOP is more like little bit of past, more of present, and a little bit of future. And your CV is more like okay, past, and a little bit of maybe present or future. So I think that's the main difference between writing an SOP and CV. And then again, your CV should not be biased towards some particular, let's say, group or not be entailed towards one particular foci area. It should be more broader in some sense. But SOP on the other hand, it should be very personalized. For example, you're applying for a chemistry program in organic chemistry. So your SOP should be very well organized into an organic realm. But your CV might read that you have inorganic courses, you have experience in physical background, all of that counts in. But SOP, you have to give quality space for what sort of research you want to do. I believe that's the fine difference between an SOP and a CV to go.
I think no one has put it that way. I would agree to that. That's the best way someone can put it. Like the difference between SOP and a CV. Because like I have seen that some of the people they wrote whatever they have achieved in the CV and they just narrate in the SOP. That's pretty useless. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like reading same document twice. It's pretty useless.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I
And then
agree with
again,
what
it
you said.
comes by experience. My first SOP was a disaster, to say the least.
It comes with experience. Like we have encountered a lot of disaster, and we are having this session so that other people don't have to encounter all those disasters, right? Yeah.
I hope I knew about this MitSna house back in my first semester. I would have been so benefited by this.
It was not there back then, but it was during my final year I realized that if everyone has to go through all those things one by one like the way I did, it's a pretty much waste of time. Yeah. So any more questions from the quite a small number of audience we have here today? Okay, so next, I think if anyone is interested, next weekend we would have a session, and the session would be another junior of mine. So she's pursuing her master's in science and health communication at the University of Manchester. So she's trying to focus her career more into science communication. So if anyone is interested, you can see the update on our Instagram page. So it will be posted there, and you can learn more about it, and you can join it. That will be free also. I mean, everything is free. There's no freelance, but we're providing freelance, so take proper use of it. Okay, in the meantime, yeah. Vidya Lakshmi, you have a question?
Hello, am I audible? Okay, I'm also a second year undergraduate student of Delhi University, and like I have only 1 year left till my master's. So I'm so worried about like what do I study next? Like I'm actually botany honors student, and I'm quite interested in studying plants genetics and molecular biology. So like also like Archana has said that we have completed our first year in online mode only. So I have joined one internships, like it was organized by my college only. It was like just reviewing a paper, like nothing much. So I was thinking like what can we do now so that we can improve our skills and all in this remaining 1 year.
Yeah, that's a great question actually. So, are you planning to do your master's abroad or?
Actually, yeah, I wish to study abroad for my master's if I get into one.
Yeah, sure. I believe you can. So I believe that for applying abroad in the masters, mostly in the Europe part, because I think US doesn't. Most universities in the US don't have this masters concept. They have this 4 year undergraduate, then followed by a PhD direction. So I believe you will be applying somewhere in the Europe or the United Kingdom. So
Yeah,
right.
I would like to apply in the US.
Oh, you would like to apply for in the US?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So US thing, I believe for the master's thing, it's very relevant that you have some sort of a research experience. So given that you have just 1 year in hand, and that the pandemic thing ruined everything, I think that you should get into some lab. So it doesn't have to be a regular university research lab. You see, I believe that Delhi has many of these botanical centers, right? And they run their own labs. For example, I knew one. It's near that Karol Bagh or something. You can search it up maybe. They do things on plant leaf artificial photosynthesis. So that's the botany related paradigm with molecular biology. You can try and contact them or any other lab like that, or maybe even some lab in DU if there is, and try to gain what sort of experimental techniques they are using. Because at the end of the day, you need a letter of recommendation as well, right? So any professor who is giving you a letter of recommendation, if it is only based on your academic performance or your course performance, that doesn't really stand out. So rather, if you have a letter of recommendation from a professor in whose lab you have worked, or maybe if not even a professor, but a research personnel, for example, those people in labs, who can attest that, yeah, you actually know the work, how to do things, then I think it will be really beneficial. And having said that, I believe that there is still scope for you to apply for a foreign internship because that will add a huge amount of value to your CV while you're applying. So there is this thing called OIST. I think maybe you might be knowing. It's called the Osaka Institute of Science and Technology or Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology. Both of them are there. They have this type of winter internships. So I don't really know how long you have your gap in your winter, but it's around a 40 days internship, and they are planning to conduct it online this year. And the good thing about their online program is they allow you to remotely control their instruments. For example, there is this NMR machines and things like that. You can sit back at your home and at the touch of your laptop, you can control their devices. Obviously, there will be some kind of restrictions and you will not be allowed all functions, etc. But you will get a rather first-hand feeling of how research works, and then again, it adds to your CV. So I believe you should try applying for those internships and go in, I believe, immediately for some sort of a lab experience. That might speak out a lot. Yeah.
Also, like besides this internships and projects, like what else social skills or things like we will be beneficial
Yeah.
for
So,
studying abroad?
yeah. So I don't really count myself as a very social guy, but I have done little bit of social things like charity and stuff like that during the pandemic. I believe that it is always good to include that in your CV, maybe a one liner, but that also speaks out in your favor that you have a humanitarian aspect of you as well. You're not a stone scientist, right? Nobody would like a stone person to be going and working in your lab. So yeah, for social activities, I believe that it will be very great if you can get yourself associated with some sort of club which is relevant to your field. For example, I know for botanic clubs there is one run by IIT Bombay. You can search it up on LinkedIn. It's called Omics Bootcamp, OMICS. They do a lot of work on zoology as well as botany. So I think that getting engaged with those kind of clubs will also give you an edge as to what the research is right now, the very state of the art research, in which direction is it going. And you will also be able to learn which programs you are going to apply to, because there are all sorts of information exchanges through these programs, right? And about social skills, yeah, it's good if you have some good skills on you, like debating skills, speech skills, elocutions, and stuff like that. But they are not really a major part. Believe me when I say that. They're not really a major part. Yes, they're definitely a good add on, but they are not something which speaks over, let's say, your CV or your GPA or maybe your LORs. So they are a secondary criteria. I believe so, at least. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Great
The
talking to you.
harsh
Yeah.
reality. The harsh reality. GPA
Yeah,
matters. GPA matters. It's like it's the first round of selection. Like people look at the GPA first, and they started looking at the other stuff. If someone has a poor GPA, then it doesn't matter like how much they do in the background.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think again, Indian students have a slightly higher edge when it comes to GPA, because you see, we have a 10-pointer GPA, right? And the US system is more a 4-pointer GPA.
yeah.
So there, I think there the GPA awarding is like you get anything above 90%, you get 4. I believe it is so, right?
I think above 90 is 3.5, 3.7,
Oh,
around
I see,
3.8.
I
Yeah.
see. Still on the higher part, like it's a 9-pointer here, like we have a more scope, 9.2, 9.3. If you have,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
very good.
Yeah. I mean, above 9 in India is pretty good.
Pretty good, yeah.
but then like the if someone is applying for international university, they have no idea how good a student that secures a 9 is in India.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
that's why we need the international exposure.
Yeah, that's why
Yeah.
we need that.
So doing a foreign internship really helps. Speaking from my experience, I have worked at IIT, I have worked at National Chemical Lab, which is a CSIR institute.
Yeah.
So they didn't let me use the machines like XRD and all, which are like around 5 crore, 6 crore type of budget. But when I was in NTU, like they let me handle the NMR machine, which is more than 10 crore. And when I was applying for graduate school, the interviewer asked questions like, so you have used the XRD. So like, have you operated the XRD? They asked a specific question. I'm like, I have to say no. Like they're like, so you simply get the sample and you just analyze the data. I mean, the way they spoke to me, I felt like, so I was just a computer back then. I didn't do any science stuff. That kind of feeling they gave. So it's good to have an
Yeah.
internship. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree that on you. Even in IICS, we have NMR operators, XRD operators. We submit the samples to them and they do it. There are also dedicated machines, more of a less efficient machines, on the go machines. For example, we have this the 300, 400 Hz NMR, which no one uses these days. So students are allowed to use them and take NMR to get a first-hand experience like that. But yeah, I think that this is really required that we get to operate the machines firsthand. That gives a nice experience.
And that's where the internship comes in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there where the internship comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Yasmin, you have a question?
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. I would like to ask you to repeat how you have applied to the National University of Singapore again.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the question, right? Yeah. So there's a program called AMGEN Scholars, AMGENS. So I'll just type it in for ease. So it's called the AMGEN Scholars. So this again is an international undergraduate summer research program, but then again, I would say it's slightly disappointing that the Asian people can only apply to institutes in Asia via this program. However, this is open to students all over the world. Asian students can apply only to Asia, but people residing anywhere else other than Asia, they can apply to any university in the entire world. So although we are at a slight disadvantage, the way this program works is these have 4 partner institutes in Asia, as I said. NUS is one of them. So there is a portal on NUS. If you type in AMGEN Scholars NUS, it will open up a portal. And the portal gets activated every year around October or maybe November. And what you have to submit to them is 2 LORs, 2 letters of recommendation, your statement of purpose, your CV, and your research proposal. So, and there are lists of projects. The one you interest the most, you can write your SOP in line with that. And I believe that the key to cracking these sort of NUS things is you establish a personal contact with the person hosting the project. So for my case, actually, I was interested in CRISPR-Cas9 in plants, in plant immunity. So it was a very interdisciplinary project. As I said, it entailed physics as well as chemistry, as well as biology, and a little bit of math and computer science as well. So I contacted the professor earlier, even before the application opened, and I tried to learn a bit more about the research and things like that. And in that course, if you directly say that, oh, I want to apply to NUS, you will reply a cold reply that, okay, I am not the controlling authority, I can't do anything. But once you establish an intimate contact with the professor, he or she knows that you have the capability, you know her work. It's always a win-win approach. She won't have to explain to another student who comes into a lab that what is she working on. You already know her research if you are talking with her. So she will try her best to get you in the program. Although it might not be true for all programs, but yes, it is a pretty decent thing. And it's a win-win approach for all. You try to understand the research before getting into it. So yeah, NUS works in that way. And it's not just NUS, it's a centralized program, AMGEN. You apply to Tokyo, Japan, Kyoto in Japan as well, and China, Tsinghua University, which is also a very nice one. But this year they didn't apply, they didn't accept applications for Tsinghua due to obvious reasons, COVID and thing. The rest of them were open, yeah.
So you did contact with the professors only by email or through other means also?
Yeah, through email, and then if you see that you are a good fit for the professor and you both are compatible with each other, you may even ask for a Zoom meeting and then set up a Zoom call sometime and then discuss stuff.
What do you think are the factors that have made you selected for internship in University of Minnesota and National University of Singapore?
Yeah, so I believe the primary thing is research experience, relevant research experience. Because as I said, that when international bodies are funding you to go over there and do research, they will expect that you are productive. And if you don't have experimental skills, it is practically impossible for you to develop skills and then do research in the short period of time. So first is that. The second is, you have to have very stellar letters of recommendation, very strong letters of recommendation, and that too from recognized people in your field. You might have a letter of recommendation from an XYZ college, and you might have a letter of recommendation from a national university. So the national university professor is very well recognized in his field. So his letter of recommendation really stands out because people know him. And how do they know him? They again know him through publications or conferences. So good publications, if you have, is always a very nice thing to have on your CV. But if you don't have, there's no worry. Publications are good to have, but they're not a must. So I believe these 3 points, your CV, your LORs, and your SOP, they are the defining criteria for you to get in or not get in. Yeah.
I also want to know with foreign universities and research institutions does IACS have collaboration and MOUs signed?
Yeah. So in ICS, actually, it works very differently. ISERs have collaborations mainly through MOUs. We also have few MOUs. For example, we have one at SWARM. We have few at in the US. There's one with Harvard and stuff like that. But then again, ICS, the research groups are more independent. So they have personal collaboration. So it's not more like MOUs, but the research groups have personal collaborators. For example, the work group I work in personally, we have collaboration with Benjamin List, so the guy who got the Nobel Prize. So we had a huge celebration at our lab as well when he got the Nobel. So I think these type of collaborations work more intimately, because when you have a university versus university MOU, definitely they are good for the students. But then again, when you're going into research, if your professor knows the other professor very intimately, you have joint group meetings and stuff like that, then your chances of getting into his group increase manifold than just having an MOU. So I think MOU is not the defining criteria for when you are looking for collaboration. They are more like joint publications. You should look out for joint publication. Yeah.
And there lies the question, like, yes, Yasmin, continue.
So, how are you handling your internship activities along with your regular course of study? So, are you doing your internship only in your summer and winter vacation, or you're also doing them during your regular course of study?
Yeah, so that's a great question, actually. So on pen and paper, theoretically, I was supposed to be completing my internship back in last summer. But you see, the process of writing a review is very, very exhausting. And it entails very huge amount of time. You need to get in all sorts of resources from here and there, because you don't want your review paper just to be a chunk of paper. You need it to read out like a story. Especially when you're doing some online internships, the best you can do, I believe, is a review or some bioinformatics. So that takes time. So officially it's throughout the summer, but as long as your professor and you agree on it, that the product that you don't want your product to be just a regular review paper, again, to be forgotten by the masses, but you want it to stand the test of time, and any scientist reading it will actually have a good impression of you. Because the publication, once you have your name on the publication, it is going to live with you for the rest of your life. So if you have a poor quality publication, I would say that's a very big no-no, for me at least. So it's very, very distressing to go on with coursework and 2 internships as well as my undergraduate lab. But as long as you have a proper time management, I believe it can work. For me, I keep very specified time. For example, I keep the entirety of my Saturday for these online internship review writing things, which is towards end now. And the undergraduate lab that I'm associated with, that's a full-time commitment. Every day I have to go. And regular coursework again is very huge, but the way I tend to cope up is through group study. I think that works really marvelous. So interacting, because you see, not everyone will be best in every subject. So someone is good at chemistry, someone is good at biology, especially at institutes like IISC, ICS. You will find people from all over the country who are sort of the best in their fields, right? So I think when you have a friend teach a subject to you, or a group of peers teach a subject to you, it's much more entailing and much more penetrating into your mind than a professor who has been teaching it for, let's say, n number of years, doing the same thing, repeating the same thing, and you might not be getting it. So I believe group study, peer study, obviously self-study again at the end of the day, and proper time management might lead you there. Well, I'm not very qualified to say it. I'm not done with it yet, so I don't know whether I will be able to sustain that long or not. Still.
Yeah, that's a great thing. And like you mentioned again and again, like to get an internship, one is a research experience, but on the other hand, to get the research experience, one need the internship. That's a continuous cycle. Like one needs an experience to get internship. Yeah. So I mean, it's pretty tough, like to have the research experience when one applies for internship, and to apply for international program is pretty tough. But the thing is, it's like a stepping stone. It gets tougher. Like when one gets a is applying for a graduate program, I mean, if that person doesn't have any experience, that's a very big no. Like for instance, like I have juniors who approach me and ask me like, I want to apply to this university. So what can I do? I'm like, you have completed your bachelor's, you have completed your master's, you have nothing to write on your CV, you have nothing to write on the SOP. I can't help anything. Not even no one can help at that time.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
it's a slowly building process. Like it's a stepping stone. It's better
And I
to
believe in
start
India,
struggle.
it's morely limited by the information that we have. It's not that all of us are not qualified to the internships, but it's more like we don't have the information, like what internship is where and what is happening. And I believe the initiative that you have taken is so nice that we can all get to know so many more things about
Thank you.
internship.
Yeah, like it's mostly because I suffered a lot. I mean, like information, we have the internet, but we don't know how to use the internet properly. That's
true. Very true. Yeah.
And one of the major advantages, like as many people say, like the COVID is a blessing in disguise. Because back those days, professor wouldn't agree for a Zoom meeting, but these days it's easy to ask professor for a Zoom meeting. It's very easy. It's very normal. So that's a good thing.
Very true. Yeah.
So like after exchanging one or two emails, anyone can just ask for a Zoom meeting. If the professor doesn't ask, or the professor can ask also. That's an easier way to convince people.
Yeah, totally.
So I mean, I think people here or people who will be watching the videos will be interested in science related stuff. And Nayan, you're also interested in science related stuff. So we have something called the Science Corner, and like we started just recently, and we are trying to make the sciencey things more easier to the public. I mean, that's one way how we can make people interested in science, right? If we just tell them and like just throw the chemical formulas and no one is gonna be interested in science. Yeah. So that's one thing we have. Yeah. We have something called the Science Corner. It's on Instagram, and we have made a podcast video. It's available on our YouTube channel also. I will share the link to you. Don't worry about you. Yeah, you can have a look at it. Yeah. Archana, you have a question?
Yeah, one more question. It's a personal thing. So actually, you said your minor is biology, and in the last 1 year, I did an internship in brain lateralization and personality thing. Like, how is it related? We did an online survey and like calculated the results, and we found that it's not brain lateralization. It's not really related with personality, and that's the thing. And also, I did an intern in bioinformatics, like mostly in protein genomics only. Also, I applied for a cell culture research this summer, and my question is like, leaving aside my area of interest, like which field would be more beneficial for me, like the cell biology, molecular biology thing, or the bioinformatics? That's the thing.
So that's a great question, actually. So what my feeling is actually that bioinformatics doesn't stand alone. So if you are a group, a research group, you won't really find any research group who are doing only bioinformatics. On the contrary, you will find many research groups who are doing just cellular or molecular biology. They don't have any touch with any bioinformatics. So my belief is that in the modern day world, both of these research groups are not good, because the traditional way that people used to do biology for the past n number of years was very distant from the world of computer science and mathematics. But now, actually, people have realized that with mathematics and computer science as a tool, you can advance biology to extreme frontiers. It's very hot topic now, right now. And I'm very glad that you have done an internship in bioinformatics, because that counts. Well, I can't have any better words to say that. That counts miles really when you have an internship in bioinformatics, because when you're even applying to traditional labs, like for example, a holistic cellular or molecular biology lab, when people will see that you know bioinformatics, they will see you as an asset to their group, because they will try to learn from you the bioinformatics that you know, because bioinformatics is really, like required anywhere nowadays in molecular biology. So I strongly believe that you should go in for a group in the best possible scenario, which does all of this: bioinformatics, molecular biology, cellular biology, everything entangled into one. Or if you are more focused towards some grade group, but which is very traditional in that sort of way, which is doing only molecular or cell biology, well, that's so okay as well. You can showcase your skills in bioinformatics as an asset to that particular group, and you can convince them that how you can be a befitting addition to their particular using bioinformatics.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Moving on, Vijayalakshmi, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. Like the internship I did last year, like it was plant reproductive biology, and it wasn't that. I'm not saying that it's boring, but then I am not really into it. Like I didn't really like the topic. Also, I don't think it is a waste of time, because I get to learn that which topic is which topic I like and which topic I don't. So like in this year I am thinking of doing some internships projects which I like, topics which interest me. So like do you think like it will be great to do like 2-3 internships at the same time, because I have like 2 months break in this summer, June, July? So, or should I just focus on one internship only, or do
Yeah.
multiple at the same time?
So I believe since it's undergraduate, and we are still learning, we don't know almost anything. So I would say go in for it. Be bold and go in for it and do as many as you can. But that doesn't mean you will do 5 or 6. Don't be a fool like me that you engage entirety of your day in doing these internships and study. Maybe 2 is a good number. Any normal person can handle 2. If you're doing 3 or 4, maximum do 4. Don't do more than that. 3 or 4 is very hard work entailing, because you need to focus on it and dedicate quality time to each of it. But then again, if you are sure that it doesn't interest you, then don't go in for it, because you will basically face yourself trying to cope up with something which you are not absolutely interested to do. So it's something like a person studying English is forced to do maths. So they're totally not compatible, because if you have realized that you are actually not compatible with it, I believe it's better not to just waste your time going in for that. But as having said that, if it's an international internship and you are occasionally interested in that, and that might lead to a publication or a review paper, my advice would be to go in for that totally. Because again, nothing is free except the and interactive sessions hosted by MitSna House. So nothing is free. So the harder you can push yourself during this time, you can actually get better results while you apply for graduate school. Better chances of getting selected. But having said that, yet again, if that doesn't interest you at all and you are sort of pervasive towards it, don't go to that. But yeah, 2 internships are totally doable. Believe me when I say that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Wow, that's I don't know. I wouldn't be able to handle two interns at the same time. I don't know, but depends on the caliber of the person. I would say it was like when I was doing internship, the physical one, the in person. We used to go to lab at around 8, and sometimes we come back to our room at around midnight. I can't handle two of it. They would be like consuming my entire day. But like,
Yeah,
yeah, but definitely in terms of one of the advantages of internship is to explore the areas that we are interested in. Because in graduate school, you will be committed.
yeah,
There is no going back. But
exactly.
internship, I mean, if someone looks at my CV, they will think like I change my mind every year. I mean, I do change my mind every year. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, and
This
when
guy is
writing
all
my
over the place. Yeah.
yeah, like my first year was in physics, and then I changed to organic. Then I changed to I think solid state physics. I don't know. It's scattered all over. And in the end of the day, I had to try to figure out how to like incorporate all of them for the graduate school. Like I was this, and I had to find a common theme that applies. Otherwise, people like to be honest, when someone is applying somewhere and if they don't know how to join the dots, they will think like, oh, you wasted your time. But if someone
So,
finds a way to connect the dots, it's always an advantage. Like every
yeah,
intensive is an advantage. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a pleasure interacting with you. I believe many people will learn a lot in days to come because it will be on YouTube. And if anyone is watching on YouTube, we have many more videos like this. So, like I would like to take this time to thank you once again for agreeing to spend some time with me and our people here. So, yeah. Well, like,
Thanks for having me.
Yashmin, you have a question? Okay, we'll take this as the last question. We'll end the session after this.
Okay.
Yashmin, yeah.
Can
Hi,
you please
Yashmi.
tell us, hi, good evening.
Yeah,
Can you please tell us the name of some online internship which we can apply to?
yeah, sure. So one is there, as I told, Amgen Scholars. You will find 4 under that same umbrella. It's called Amgen. Another one, as he was saying, it's called MitSna. But it's mostly for people who are doing physics, maths, computer science, generally. Little bit of biology, but it's more towards the physical concepts of that.
Mm.
There is another one, very nice one, which if I remember correctly, there's definitely this Chemlando. I'll just type them all out. Might be useful for all of you. It's called the Chemlando, which I got into this year. And yeah, there is something called the U Tokyo, U Trip. So this University of Tokyo, they accept internships from 2 sources. One is the Amgen and one is U Trip, which is their own program. There is N2 Singapore Connect, which he got into, and he knows much better than me. For US, actually, there are very limited ones. In my knowledge, actually, there is this particular program for chemistry and physics is called the SN Bose Scholars Program for Physics Chemistry. And for the biology one, this is Khorana Scholars Program.
Mm.
Yeah, this is the Khorana, but unfortunately during the COVID, they have been suspended for indefinite period of time. We don't know whether they will be coming back or not. And I'll take this opportunity to inform you about one more program, which is not an internship, but it's rather like a do-it-yourself at your university type of thing. So you might want to look at something called iGEM. So it's
Yes,
more
yes.
like, yeah, very nice that you know that. So it's more like you build up your own university team to address research problems, even though you might not be having very good infrastructure back at your university or college. So they will. It doesn't require like huge kind of very sophisticated instruments or biosafety level labs greater than 2, 3. I think when you have a biology lab, it works totally fine. You just need to do some gel electrophoresis, some vectors, plasmids here and there, which is pretty routine in any microbiology lab. So I think that's a very nice one as well. Yeah,
Yes.
I think, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your answer.
Oh, sure. Anytime.
Those programs that you told, they are really good ones. Like I know my friends who go through the U Trip through the SN Balls to the Kurana programs. Metex, except Camlando, I have known everyone who went for these programs, and they are in a very good university right now. So they are pretty good.
That speaks a lot for the CV.
Yeah. So we'll conclude the session here, and once again, I get that opportunity to thank you. Thanks. So we get the opportunity to thank you again. So thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing your experience, and we'll get in touch. For sure. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Okay. Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me here. And I'll just drop in my email anytime any of you might want to ask anything, which I might be knowledgeable about. Again, I'm a very intellectually poor guy, so just pardon me for that.
Yeah. Okay then. Everyone, have a good night. Bye. See you in the next session.
Have a great day, everyone. Yeah.